Hello, and I'm Sneeky Ponk. Today, I'm going to discuss all about the brief history of rock music. So we will going to change some topic, so it's not gonna be a boring content. Okay, so let's start with this history of rock music. From Elvis Presley to Jimi Hendrix to Beatles, here is a comprehensive look of the growth of the rock music from its roots uh, to the late 1980s. Rock music grew out from the rock and roll movement of the 1940s and 50s, which itself was inspired by the country and African American rhythm and blues from the 1920s until 30s. Even from the inceptions, rock music has been constantly evolving and continuously creating subgenres that can be sourced from all over the world. While rock and roll had been increasing in popularity in the U.S. for several years, it was until 1955 that Bill Haley, "Rock Around the Clock" reached number one in the chart. So it's paving the way to the rock music to become a prominent part of the music culture at the time. There were many popular solo artists, including Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry, Jerry Lewis, and Carl Perkins. During this period, musicians were moving away from acoustic guitar and picking up electric guitar instead. In the early 60s, California was the leading light of the electric guitar with a number of acts of moving away from rock and roll towards surf music. So the most commercially successful act that time was the Beach Boys, who quickly become the poster boys for the movement. Meanwhile, in Britain, bands were still inspired by American R&B and blues, but were also creating more energetic and upbeating acts such like as the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Kinks, has cross-Atlantic appears, and their sounds was dubbed the British invasion. Electric guitar was also becoming lead instruments with the musicians such as Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix, becoming the prominent in the blues, rock, and psychedelic rock scenes, which peaked during the late 60s and 70s. While many of the other subgenres were forming in the late 60s, including the glam rock and the progressive rock, many of these pioneering musicians didn't have a commercial success until the 70s, where act like Pink Floyd, David Bowie, Fleetwood Mac, and the Led Zeppelin become the cultural icon of that year. So despite all having a very diverse musically, rock was becoming a heavier, more distortion being added to guitar, which so Thin Lizzy, Aerosmith, Van Halen, AC/DC, all becoming popular by the end of the decade, as well as the rise and fall of the punk movement. Black Sabbath, Motorhead, and Kiss were also building a name of themselves with a darker and more gothic sounds, which was labeled as a heavy metal music. In the 1980s, saw the dawn of the post-punk band, new waves, and the new romantic, which saw guitar-oriented rock music from the more electronic directions, such as New Order, Duran Duran, The Police, Talk Talk, and the Eurythmics become the indicated at the time that the keyboard that heavy song, but guitar bands like U2, Dire Straits, Echo and the Bunnymen, and The Cure managed to maintain the successful career despite the electronic shift. So the other band reinventing the traditional band setup were REM, James Addictions, and the Smiths, all who fell under the umbrella of alternative rock. Despite the fall of the classic rock, one of the biggest songs with the decades was Bruce Springsteen, "The Born in the USA," with the album often was being heralded by one of the greatest of all time. In the part two of what is rock, look at rock from 1980s to the present, including grunge, indies, rock, beat pop, and new metal. So I will be discussing about those genres on my next issue about music, the grunge, indie, rock, beat pop, and all the new metal. So stay tuned, and hopefully you like my short topic regarding the history and evolution of music. Yeah, so yeah, stay tuned and keep on rocking in the free world, and just stay safe and healthy. Uh, Please always follow the protocol regarding this COVID-19. Hopefully, this will be finished. So the music scene will be coming soon, and hopefully, the live music will be back to normal. So the music scene is back to normal, and yeah, so everybody's happy because music is part of our life, and music is life. So okay, so keep on rocking in the free world, and cheers. Nice and lovely. The taste is there. Mwah.